Hi everyone, welcome back to my weekly bonsai show on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about Chinese elm. With me here I have a specimen that we acquired from another bonsai artist, an older fellow who wanted to get out of doing bonsai and spend his last years traveling. And this tree pretty obviously has some age on it. It's got a nice thick trunk and beautiful radial root spread. When I got this tree, it was planted 90 degrees rotated to where it is now in the pot, and it had two upper trunks. The other trunk followed almost the same line as this one and was obviously superfluous, so very early this spring we made a cut here. We also cut off all of the existing branches. Every branch you see here is a regrowth from early this spring, and we wired them out. Today we're going to unwire any branches that need to have the wire taken off, and we're going to do some cleanup pruning on the tree. So let's get started. We'll start near the top of the tree with what's going to soon be an upper front branch. And with Chinese elms, they tend to throw a lot of growth towards the upper part of the tree. So a branch like this can be chopped back pretty heavily, and it will grow back quite nicely even this late in the growing season. And the other thing is, in order to get good branch ramification, you have to cut the heavier branches back. The other thing is, we used thin wire and we wired loosely, but even so, Chinese elms grow so fast that this wire here is starting to cut into the tree just a little bit. So we'll unwind and remove that wire, and then we'll continue working our way down the tree. I'm going to leave a little bit more on these lower side branches here for now, just to kind of get an idea where we're going with the tree's eventual shape. This branch here is going to be sort of a front branch slash side branch, and this will be an eventual side branch. One other thing we did was we left a few branches that might get taken off later on. They may or may not be superfluous, and that sort of depends on the development of existing branches. One thing you'll also notice is we have a little bit of what's called a bar branch here, where we have two opposing branches emerging at the same height on the tree. What you want to do with a bar branch is either take one of them off, or if you want to keep them both because they're essential to the tree looking like a tree, you want to have them at different levels. Bring one down and have the other one slightly higher. We also have a sucker growing off the base of the tree that's obviously not necessary, so we'll prune that off. If you do your pruning in the spring and you want more Chinese elms, you can take something like that, plant it as a cutting, and it will grow pretty easily. Now we're going to come down, take a little bit off the lower branches, and we'll take another look at this this branch here, part of the bar branch. We're not going to take it off just yet. We actually intentionally left it early in the spring just to see what would happen and where it would go. Now I'm going to come back and do a little bit more pruning on some of the upper part of the tree. And again, we'll just cut these at a point where we want more growth to emerge to get the tree's design to ramify. Now, in terms of choosing the height of the tree, that's a function of the trunk's movement, and we do that a little bit by some classic rules of proportion and a little bit by just eyeballing the tree to see what looks good. And here we're going to top it like this, and then take this off, and that will give us room for some future growth. And that one got pretty thick, so I think we'll use a branch cutter to take that off. Now finally, we have to work on the first branch here. it's gotten too thick for the wire that's on it. This branch we did wire loosely, as we do with all fast-growing broadleaf trees, so that way the wiring didn't cut in. And now we need to put a thicker wire on there in order to have enough holding strength to get the branch to set in its proper position. We'll try this wire here, and if this wire turns out not to be thick enough, then we'll go even thicker. So we'll come over the top of it here, then we'll put a few anchoring turns around the tree's trunk, and I'm going opposite the existing wire, so I'm going to turn that around and make sure I follow the same direction as the existing wire. And then we'll just spiral it around and see if it holds. Now if we lose a few leaves here on the inner part of the branch, it won't really damage the tree's eventual appearance, because on bonsais we typically want the innermost parts of the branch to be bare of leaves in order to simulate the age and appearance of a large tree. Now that I've wired the branch, I'm going to look at the tree and bring it down into its eventual position. Now this branch, because it's the first branch, needs to come down and forward a little bit, and we're also going to do a little bit of sleight of hand here and use our first branch to hide that big pruning scar on the trunk. So now we'll just take a little bit more off there, and our first branch is in position. Now the one other branch that needs a rewiring, because it's starting to outgrow the strength of the wire, is this branch here. This is an upper front branch. So we'll wire this out, and then we'll finish the work on this tree for today. So again, we're going to follow the direction of the existing wiring, just so that we don't have any problems with the tree later. And once we get this wire anchored, then we'll set the branch in place. Now this wire is a little long, so we'll cut the end of it. And now I'll look at the tree from the front and put that branch into position. Okay, this concludes our work for today on this Chinese elm. What you're seeing right now is the front of the tree, and now we'll do a slow 360 so that you can see the branch placement on the tree from all sides. And then we'll come back to this tree again in a future video in a few months' time and see what the tree's eventual growth does to it, and do further wirings and further ramification and further branch development. Thank you for watching, folks.